right? Because I have 20 minutes. This I have an entire hour with you, okay? But this is one of the most basic skills, yet basically misunderstood skills that exist in human beings, okay? Right? Because here's the deal. Time is our most valuable resource, okay? Once it is gone, we can never get it back. It's one of the only things like that in life. You lose money, you work hard, you can make more money. You smoke and you get all nasty and you stop smoking before it's really too late, right? You can recover from that. Once your time is gone, once the day is gone, it's never coming back. It is gone forever, okay? So you've got to understand that time is the great equalizer, okay? Everyone has the same amount of time. I don't have time is the biggest lie that exists on planet Earth. Because we all have the same amount of it. It is impossible for you not to have time. We all have the same amount of time, right? So what is better is the statement, I make poor choices about what to do with my time, right? Okay, or I wasted my time. That's probably a better description than I don't have any time. Everybody understand that? Yeah. Okay, how many of you have said, I don't have time before, for something in your life, whether it's this, right? Some of you saying that about why you didn't get your 1x1. I didn't have any time. No, you just made poor choices about where you put your time. Okay, but the good news is we can choose something different. See, we're not born winners or losers, we're born choosers. And we can choose every day what happens. So there are 3 ways that you can use time. It's very similar to money. Okay, we can waste time, we can spend time, or we can invest our time. Okay, so let's go and look at wasting time. This is when you trade time. So think about money, right? You can do the same thing with money, but either way you're making a trade. You're with money, if you're wasting money, you're trading money for something of no value. If you're spending money, you're trading money for something that is of value, and if you're investing money, you're trading money for more money than you put out. You understand the difference? The same thing works with time. Okay? We either waste it, spend it, or invest it. So wasting time is when we trade time for nothing of lasting value. Nothing of lasting value. You put out the time, but you have nothing of material value or lasting value that you can show for that time. Okay, everybody understand that? So we're going to have some interaction on this more than normal, okay? So what are some examples of wasting time?
Watching TV.
Okay, so I heard like 7 things.
Watching TV.
Video games. Facebook. Oversleeping. There you go. Sleeping is necessary to survive. Working at your job is actually not wasting time. It's well, that's true, bro. I guess I never looked at it like that. But generally, working at a job is not wasting time. That falls into the spend category. Okay, but think about other things that are wastes of time, like your fantasy football league, your knowing everything about every sports game that's happening, bowling, your softball team at church. These things are all classified as wastes of time, right? And sometimes people challenge me and say, well, it's entertainment. I'm getting joy out of it. Yeah, but the problem is that joy does not last. It is not lasting. It is there, and then it's gone. So you have nothing of lasting value. Entertainment is not lasting value. You understand that? Okay? So I want you to challenge yourself to look at what are some of the areas that you put time that is a black hole. You will never become better or move ahead in your life in really any area by continuing to put time in here. You put unlimited amounts of time, it's never going to change your life. Right? What are some of those areas? And write them down and be aware of them. See, most people don't think about what they think about, let alone what they do and evaluate, right? Somebody said once, the unexamined life is not worth living. I don't remember who said it. It was a really famous person. You can look it up, okay, on Google, okay? Bobby D's going to go look at it, right? But the unexamined life isn't worth living. We got to look at where are we putting time that is not giving us a return, because we all have the same amount of it, right? We cannot get more than we have now in physical day time. Okay? So what we need to do is we need to figure out what is our least return on time and eliminate those things systematically so that we have more time for high return on time activities. Everybody understanding that? Okay, so you should have a nice long list, okay? And like, I watch some TV, right? I have a handful of shows I like, and I've always kind of watched. There's another extreme where people are like, man, I threw out my TVs and I don't have cable and all these things. That's okay if it's really that big of a deal. If you're addicted to it, that's fine, right? But I watch TV when I can't be doing anything else productive, right? 11 o'clock at night, watching an hour show in 30 minutes, right? Once or twice a week is not going to hurt you. It's when you're at 7 o'clock at night, you should be on a kitchen table, that you're watching 5 of the shows in a row. That's the problem, right? You all understand that? Okay. So let's talk about spending time. Spending time is when you trade time for something of value. Okay? Time spends are necessary. Okay? Time spends are necessary, just like spending money is necessary, right? Food is not an investment, but it's a spend, and it's a necessary spend. Shelter is the same thing, generally speaking, right? Okay? There's lots of things you can spend time on that's not going to give you more time freedom, but it is necessary for you, okay? So what are some examples of spending time?
Work.
Okay, so work is one of them. Church, right? Family, right? Okay, your relationships, your kids. These are necessary things that you need to do, right? Okay? So you need to learn how to manage what has to go out, right? Okay, and I'm going to show you something here that I think you'll get a lot of value out of in a second, right? But you need to look at where you're spending time and understand this. The problem with spending all of your time is that you will always have a time deficiency. Okay? The problem with spending all of your time is you will always have a time deficiency. If you do not carve out time that goes into activities that are time investments, which we're going to get to, that bring you more time back in the future, you'll never get off the rat wheel. Your days will fly by forever until you die, right? Because you're not planning ahead. It's the same thing. If you spend all your money and you don't invest any for the future, you'll never have more than you have now. Same thing with time. If you don't reallocate some of your time into the investment pool, you'll never have more time than you have now. And most of you have what you would feel very limited amounts of time right now. You understand that? Okay? So you need to be thinking about priorities, right? Write this down. Good is the enemy of great. There's lots of good things that you can be doing on a time spend. But good things stop you from doing the great things a lot of the time. So let me give you some examples of this, right? People that are like super over involved in their church, right? I work for a church. I understand how that works, right? The line is blurred, okay, right? But listen, I promise you, there's somebody else there that doesn't have as bright of a destiny as you do that can vacuum the church, okay? They can. They're gonna survive. They'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. But a lot of people do that, right? I mean, they're at the church 6 days a week doing this thing, that thing, the other thing. They don't have time to get free, right? You understand? Same thing with your children, okay? My children are in one activity at a time, right? And that's it, okay? So, like, look, like some of you have, like, kid soccer players. Man, they're traveling around. They're all over the place. They're spending all this time. Your kid is not going to make $1 million a year playing soccer. This is the United States. They don't live in Europe, they don't live in Argentina where they can make a living doing it. So it's fun, but they're basically running around and you're spending hours for them to run around and kick each other in the shins, right? So but listen to what I'm saying. I'm not judging you. I'm just trying to get through to your head. You're spending inordinate amounts of time on things that don't matter. Well, my kids matter. That's true. But you would be better to spend a half an hour reading to your kid or talking to your kid than a weekend taking them on U10 travel soccer, where they're around a bunch of other kids, right? That's not spending time with them, right? Do you understand? Right? You got to look at that. What's my return? I have 72 continuous hours where I don't talk to them for more than 2, right? And they're running around, or I spend those 2 hours and I end up with 70 left over, right? Okay, and these are some of the things that are hard to deal with, right? Okay, but average people make average commitments, and great people make great commitments. And sometimes you got to be willing to give up good things for great things in your life. And sometimes you need to be able to tell that to your children. Kids, the reason you're not in 17 things like your friends at school is because you have a future that we care about. And you can't be great at everything. You can be great at 1 or 2 things. So you need to find those things, and you need to become great. And while everybody else, right, think about it like light. Okay, you have sunshine, it's enough to warm the earth. You focus that sunshine into a laser beam, it'll blow a hole through the earth. Right? That's the power of focus. When you focus on a few things you can be great at, that, by the way, like I say in the Out Night, the 4th question is, will it be worth it? That if you got great at, it would yield you the results you want in your life. That's where you put your time. And you got to learn to say no to good things so you can say yes to great things. Because most people can't say yes to great things because they're so busy doing things that don't matter. One of my favorite quotes by D.L. Moody, I tweeted out the other day. If you're not following me on Twitter, you should. It's just, man, it's awesome. I'm just blowing your mind about every 2 hours is something great. Okay, so get on there and follow me. Okay, it is true, right, George?
Yeah, I follow you.
Okay, so listen. D.L. Moody said this: our biggest fear, or our greatest fear rather, should not be failure, but rather succeeding at something that doesn't matter. And most people are great successes at things that don't matter. Right? Well, they forget to succeed at the things that do. Their family, their health, their faith, and their financial well-being. Right? They don't have time for those. They got time for everything else in the world that, like the moth, is the light of the moment that they're attracted to mindlessly, right? But no time for the major things, right? So investing time is when you trade time for larger amounts of time. Now, this might seem counterintuitive because we all have the same amount of time. I'm talking about future forward. You have a cumulative total of time, right, that you will be here on this planet. And so investing time is buying back some of those hours for uses on things you really do care about, okay? That would be an investment of time. I'm going to put some time out today in order to receive multiples of that time later. Everybody understand that? It's the same thing with money. You invest money, if you ever do a compound interest calculator, right? You invest 100 grand over a 30, 40 year period of time systematically, you end up with millions. You had 100 grand you put in, but millions in interest that you didn't have to put in. The investment gave it to you. It's the same thing. Maybe you put in 3 to 5 years of effort here and you buy back 40 years of freedom that would have been a constant spend if you didn't. Does that make sense? Right? So what are some examples of time investments?
Today. Right now in this room.
Well, learning how to delineate yourself from your time-money equation. Getting to the point where I don't have to keep trading time for money, right? So like learning skills, duplicating, okay? Putting time into things that are, right? The best way to understand if you're investing time is asking yourself this question. Is what I'm doing right now getting me out of what I'm doing right now? Mm-hmm. And if the answer is no, then you're not investing time, right? By you coming to meetings faithfully for a period of time and getting other people to do that, you will eventually not have to come to meetings anymore if you don't want to. You become an RVP, have a couple RVPs, shut your base shop down, don't do any more meetings. Right? Because you went to meetings and you got people to go to it and you built a system. Right? Does that make sense? Okay, another investment of time is in your health. If you die 10 years from now because you are super unhealthy, you cut that time short. Versus if you put a half an hour a day into being physically fit and that buys you 20 more years on your life, do the math, right? That was a good investment of time. It bought you more time than you would have had without that. Those are really the only two things that I understand as time investments, right? Getting out of the time-money trap, trading time for dollars, and making sure you're alive long enough to enjoy it, right? Those are the two things that you need to be putting time into on an investment. You understand? Anybody have any questions on the differences between waste, spend, and invest? So hopefully you're writing some of this down, and what you need to do immediately is eliminate the waste, right? And then go back through and pare down the spends that are not necessary for your definite chief aim in life. What is it that you want, and anything that's not directly helping you get there needs to be tabled for a little while so you have more time to make investments of time. Priorities, right? So we teach you this. God, family, business. Art Williams said, right? And the Bible said it first, but what does it profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul? That would be silly, okay? Because you're going to spend a lot more time in eternity than you are here, okay? Of eternity from that window to that wall, this is earth, right? So you'd be foolish to screw up that deal for this, okay? Number one, okay? Right? But Art Williams said if you got to lose your family and you got to have a terrible spiritual life to win in business, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. You can have it all here as long as you're wise with time management. If you check the big boxes first, the little things will take care of themselves. But when you're constantly chasing the little things, the big things go into disarray, right? Most people major in the minors. You cannot be that person. Right? You've got to major in the important things in your life and let the junk sort itself out, okay? Right? So God, family, business. So we're going to do an exercise here. Where does your time go? Okay, so we're going to all write 168 hours in a week at the top of our paper. If you're not taking notes, you are foolish. Yeah, well, do it on your phone, right? You can do it on your phone. Okay? 168 hours a week. Most people arrange their time in some similar fashion to this. Tell me if this sounds like you. Most of your time goes to work. The next largest amount of time goes to sleep. The next largest amount of time goes to entertainment of some sort or another. The next largest amount of time gets split somewhere between family, health, and investments of time. This is average American 101. Let's see if it's true for you. Okay? So I want you to write 168 hours. Underneath it, I want you to write work, and I want you to include, now this is not this work, because this is not time spent. This is time investment. We'll pick up that later, okay? So I want you to write work, and I want you to write down how many hours a week on average you spend at your job, going to and from your job, and any work that you might be doing while you're not physically present that has to do with your job. And give it an approximate weekly total. Changes from time to time, I know, but give it an average and write that number down. Okay? Next, I want you to write down sleep/hygiene. Okay? How many hours per night would you say you average sleeping? Okay? And then I want you to add 30 minutes to that if you're a man, and 1 hour to that if you're a woman on a daily basis for hygiene, getting ready, brushing your teeth, doing your hair, getting dressed, going to the bathroom multiple times a day, right?
I put that in like work.
Oh, you
Like
put
I
that in
added
work?
that into my work.
Okay,
yeah.
so yeah, so don't,
Is that okay?
well,
I mean,
the sum is going to be the same.
it's like I figure I'm getting ready for work.
Yeah, so I don't care how you account for it as long as it's accounted
Okay,
for.
that's fine.
So per day, right? And then you need to multiply that out by 7 days a week. Right? How many hours are you sleeping a day? Add 30 minutes if you're a man for hygiene, an hour if you're a woman. Times that number by 7. That's how many weekly hours you spend there. Okay? Now I want you to write down how much time do you spend at church, going to church, or doing some sort of like devotional thing. Figure that out on an average weekly basis. Okay? How many hours are you purposefully spending with your family? Not sitting there watching TV, but you're doing something with your family that matters. Okay? And write that number down. Okay? So what we've just checked off are, let's put in an hour a day for eating, so 7 hours a week. Okay. So we've checked off going to work, because if you have a job and you're not building your business as rapidly as you like, you need that job for a little while till you get your habits and disciplines and skill sets down. Okay. So we've captured work, we've captured sleep, we've captured God, we've captured family. So those are the major boxes. Those are the major boxes. These are the things that matter. Total it up and subtract it from 168 hours. How many hours do you have left? Total it up and get that number. How many of you have less than 20 hours left? One? Okay, Dominic, how many do you have?
Well, just over 20, sorry, 143.
Okay, so you have 25.
25, sorry.
Ryan, how many do you have?
I have 144. 144.
You have 144, so you still have 24 hours
Oh,
left.
okay.
Yeah, so you have 24 hours left a week. Okay? That's the minimum. How many of you have more than 70 hours left? A couple of you.
Right around there.
Most of you probably have 40 to 50. That's how much time you have left that you could choose to invest versus waste or spend frivolously on things that don't matter, including working, sleeping, doing the things that are important, spending time with family, spending time at your church, doing whatever you want, right? Those are the big boxes. All you have to give up is crap that don't matter, and you got that time.
What do you consider being a full-time student?
I would consider that a spend.
Okay. So would I add that in there?
Yeah, if you're going to school full-time and working, sure. I would consider that a spend, right? So take that out and figure out what else you have left.
No,
Okay.
probably around 20.
Now you're about 20. Okay, so where does most of the time go?
My 20?
No, most of the 168.
It's between work and school.
Work and school. How many hours are between work and school?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. It's gotta be close to 100.
100 hours
I don't
between work and
spend-
school.
Family, I mean, I live with them.
Sure. So you're at 100 hours, which means you're really out of balance on one of the two, right? And you're spending a disproportionate amount of your
I work
time.
a 35-hour-a-week part-time job.
Okay.
And
So you think you're spending 65 hours a week at school?
No.
Okay. So where's the 100 hours? 35 went to
Oh, yeah, you're
job.
right. I was adding them all up. 1 minute.
Yep.
Let me go back to the notes.
Go ahead. And we don't need to do that, but here's the deal, right? You just said something. Where did all those hours go? Right?
Oh, yeah, I was including sleep. Sorry
Yeah,
about
okay,
that.
so good. Where did all those hours go? That's what everybody who cares about you in your life that wants you to win is wondering too.
Mm.
What is this person doing? Right? What are you doing? Right? Here's the deal. You, me, Barack Obama, we all got the same 24 hours in the day. One of them runs a country. One of them runs a big business. One of you trying to figure out how to take your head out your butt, right? Okay, and I'm not, don't take offense to that, but I'm just telling you, that's like the scale there, right? Yet we all have the same amount of time. We're choosing to use it doing different things, right? And what we do long enough gets us the result that we have. You understand? Where your time goes habitually has gotten you where you are. So if you're happy where you are, keep doing what you're doing. If you're unhappy where you are with some area of the majors in your life, then you must make a change. Because nothing changes until you change, right? Everybody understand that? And I just showed you at least 20 hours a week. Most of you substantially more than that. You can't tell me what you do with it. No clue. It just vanishes, right? You get nothing of value or something of minimal value. Okay? So even with no plan, We have not done any sort of planning here about the time. Look how much is left. That's enough to build an empire, you all. That's enough to build a dang empire. And then imagine when you go and subtract work and travel time to work back out because you don't have to anymore. And now you have all that time for making investments in your future. That's how you get ahead in life. End of story. You get ahead in life two ways. Getting ahead of the time game and ahead of the money game. That's how you win. Most people play behind in both. They never have any time or any money. Isn't that something? Okay. How much time do you have left to invest in your future? So let's remake this going in this order. God, family, business. Okay? Because that's what we teach you here. God, family, business. Right? Okay? So let's remake that and look at it. If you had a choice, how much time would you want to spend at your church or doing devotional things? Let's start there. If you had a choice, how much time do you want to spend on a weekly basis or a daily basis with your family? Right? And then look at how much time is left. That's how much time you have left to run your business and do the other things you want to in your life if you can figure out how to get out of your job. How are you going to do that? By using what's left now to get out and get more time. That's a time investment, right? I trade those 40 hours for how much time you spend working? 45. I trade those 40 for 80. 85.
Yeah,
44 and 45 is actually 89, right? So I put in 44, I get 89.
Very awesome.
Right? Do you see that? You double your time. That's a 100% return on investment. If you take those 44 hours, you use them right. If you don't use them right, then you have nothing. You went from 89 hours of disposable time per week to 0 hours of disposable time because you're already wasting those and you got to spend the 45 you're already spending. You see that? Isn't that crazy? Right? So have a plan. You need to make your schedule the day before. Okay? Always. Always, always, always. You got to have a schedule. And you need to operate from a schedule. And you need to be reviewing it the day before and looking for inefficiencies. Looking for inefficiencies, okay? Let me show you guys something that I'm going to pop through here real quick. Yep. So let me show you guys something that I learned before I was in Primerica, okay? My boss, who recruited me into Primerica, taught me this, right? So a schedule is one thing. This is a plan, okay? So schedule is what am I doing hour by hour. This is how you should build the schedule, okay? So I'm going to show you two different things. Do, call, see, and miscellaneous. So call might also be email. Okay? So every day you should do a chart like this. What is it that I have to do tomorrow? That has to be done, or that I want to get done tomorrow. Now there's some things like if you have a job, you got to be at your job for a certain amount of time. But I'm talking the important things, right? Well, I need family time, right? I need some spiritual time. I need a time investment into my business. Write them out. What are some of the less important things that you would like to do? I want to watch my show, or I want to do this, right? Okay. Time with your family, like we talked about there, right? I want to do this with my kid, blah, blah, blah. You write them all down, okay? And here you need to write down the people you need to be calling or emailing, people you need to be following up with, right, in some way, or appointments you need to be setting, right? I would put that on due for my business time, right? 3 to 5 appointments, right? So I'd pick one, say 3 appointments, right? I write it down. I got to set my 3, okay? I would have who I'm going to call for that already written out, so I'm not like, I got to set my appointments, but gosh, I don't know who to call. I don't have that guy's number. And you just kind of keep making excuses, right? In the time, right? If you know who you're going to call before you have to do it, then you just execute. Call them right off that list, right? Who do I need to call? Who do I need to email? Okay. Who do I need to be seeing? Right? That might be like appointments. Okay. and then other miscellaneous tasks that you might have. Okay? That anything you can think of goes here. All right? And then you can look at these things and you prioritize your day around the most important things first. Okay? So you find a place in the schedule for the important due. These are things that need to get done. They're in my major buckets, right? They're in family, they're in spiritual time, they're in business, right? Time investment or health. These are things I have to get done and put them on the schedule, right? You schedule them in, okay? Right? You make sure those are done, and then you schedule in time for calls and different things, right? Whatever you need to do. I try to do them all at the same time. How many of you have ever called me or texted me, and I text you back, I say, I'll call you at a bizarre time, okay? I'll call you an hour and 20 minutes from now or something like that, right? Okay, most of you are not direct to me, but Ryan, I've told you like weird stuff, like I'll call you at 5:30 and you call me at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Why? That's my call time. I'm driving to somewhere else. That is the allotted time I've made to call back people that day, right? So instead of being interrupted nonstop, right? If I can take it, I'll take it. But if I can't take it or I missed it, instead of doing it and just getting distracted all the time, I'll call you back at this time. And that time, right, is dead time. I'm driving from point A to point B. I'm going to make all the calls then. That way it gets done. It's scheduled. It gets done. I know who I need to call and when I need to be calling them, or when I'm going to email them back or whatnot, right? Does that make sense? Okay? And that way I'm not like a rabbit chasing my tail all over the place. I've got a very specific time. Right. I know I've got to call you and you and you and you at this point. If I'm busy. If I'm not busy, I'll just do it whenever. But if I'm busy, I'm going to have that. Right? Does everybody understand that? Okay? So once you have the things you have to do, like if you have a job or whatever, okay, and then you have the majors in, right? Now you can look at the white spots on your calendar. Now you can start filling in the next highest priority things. Okay? And eventually you'll run out of calendar space, and anything you don't have left to put in gets left out. The good news is if you're working from highest priority for my future and well-being to lowest priority, the things that don't make it in are garbage. They're garbage, doesn't matter. Good, they got left out. Wonderful, you're going to be way better off without them. But you'll be amazed at how far you get down that list, right? Because you got 44 hours, you have no idea what's even happening with it, right? So you do all that crap you shouldn't be doing and do the things you should be doing in that amount of time if you just got organized with it and thought about it a little bit. Everybody understand? Okay, questions on that? Right, I would make this T-chart all the time. I still do if I'm busy, right? Today I have a lot more time than I used to, right? Because I did what I'm telling you. I invested time. I got out of having to have a job. I got my wife out of having to have a job. Now I pay people to do jobs I don't like cleaning and cooking and other things. So I just keep getting time. So now I have lots of time, right? So I don't have to do this so much anymore if I don't want to, right? But in times when I'm busy, I still do that. You understand? Questions? Okay, very good. Let me show you on the same chart how you prioritize. Okay? Okay. Anybody understand what this is? None of you have seen this before. Wow. So there are 4 things when you look at things that you have to do. So this is on the do part of that. There's 4 categories things that you have to do fall into. Urgent and important. So this is something that's got a deadline. It's got to happen. And it's important that it happens. Okay? This is a deadline at work. This is month end trying to get your bonus points. This is your kid's birthday party tomorrow. They have deadlines around them and they are important. Right? Okay? So this is priority 1. Priority 2 is important but not urgent. What falls into this? exercising, making your calls every day. It's important, but nothing's going to burn down today if you don't get to it.
Like reading.
Yeah, self-development, working out, making your phone calls, right? Spending time with your kids, right? Your spouse, taking them out on a date. These are important things to do, but nothing's going to happen that's going to immediately affect you if you don't do them right then and there.
Fun.
You understand? Okay, this is priority 2. This is urgent but not important. Urgent but not important. This is your friend who just created a big problem for themselves, and like you ever see that sign, like poor planning on your part doesn't constitute an emergency on my part. You ever see that sign, right? Okay, that's that sort of stuff. A flat tire. It's like crap you got to do now, right? But it's not really helping you in any way, right? Like the game tonight, you got to be at. That's urgent. It's got to happen now, but it's not really important to the outcome of your life. Okay, and this is non-urgent, non-important. This is video games. Nobody's holding a gun to your head and making you play tonight. Nobody's gonna fire you from your job because you didn't play Call of Duty, right? And it's also not important to your life. Okay, this is a wonderful box for evaluating what's happening with your time. Okay, so these things just need to get crossed out. Believe it or not, it's okay not to do some things. Even things other people want you to do, right? It's okay not to do them. It's your life, not theirs. Let them do what they want with their time. You do what you see fit with your time, right? So anything that goes on here, just get it out. Get it off your list. There's no consequence to you not doing it. You need to be done with it, right? You got to declutter. Again, most of us are so busy succeeding at things that don't matter, we don't have the time to succeed at things that do matter, right? So you're going to get a bunch of that time back just by crossing that crap off, right? This stuff needs to get delegated. So this is the crap that, right, urgent, not important, right? Like I need to have my clothes, I need to have laundry done, but it's not important to the outcome of my life. Right? That I do it. Somebody else could do it, and I could have the benefit of it being done without having to spend my time doing it. Okay? Write this down. Anything that you can spend $10 an hour to have somebody else do, you need to be doing that. Anything that can be done for $10 an hour needs to be done by somebody else. Well, I don't have the money. Well, stop thinking like a poor person, right? Go write an app a month, and that'll pay for your housekeeper. It'll pay for your laundry doer. It'll pay for the person that shops for you. One app. And you bought, how much time do you spend doing bull crap every week like that? A lot. Why don't you take that time and go do 2 more apps? Now you got somebody else doing stuff that you don't like, and a bunch of time and more money. Problem solved.
And you're creating jobs.
And you're creating jobs. Sure. You're helping yourself and other people, right? You sure are. Okay, so what can you hire out? What can you hire out? Some of you are going to be shoveling your own snow this winter. You're insane. Right? I have friends that listen to this, buy a $1,000 snowblower to blow their own snow. It cost me $30 a push to get my driveway done by somebody else. What's your return on investment there, genius? 4 years, 5 years, plus the gas, plus the oil, plus the time. You never break even doing your own things that other people can do for you professionally for a very small amount of time and dollars, right? You understand that? Some of you cut your own lawn. Stop. Stop. You're losing money. How much did that lawnmower cost you? A couple $100? That's an entire summer's worth of other people cutting your lawn. Plus the gas, plus the maintenance, plus the oil, plus the time. You never get ahead that way. Right? But poor people don't think about opportunity costs. They think about saving money. Right? And then they justify it. I'm going to save $25 a week, somebody else mowed my lawn by spending $300 on a lawnmower. What sort of math genius are you? That does not make any sense. Maybe over 2 years you would, but then you didn't factor in all the other costs. The cost of maintenance, the cost of fuel, and the opportunity cost of losing all that time. Right? If your time's worth X amount of dollars an hour, take all that time over the next 4 years before you monetarily break even, and then you're 4 or 5 more years in the hole. And by that time, you got to go buy another. Do you understand? Right? What can you hire out and get off of your plate that you don't have to do? It's falling in this category. It is urgent, but it's not important. The dishes do need to be cleaned, just not by you. Not by your spouse either. Right? Well, I guess if you want to teach your kids how to do manual labor, that's good, but I would teach them how to do something else, right? Say, go read a book. I'll give you a choice. You read this book or you do the dishes. It's your choice. Which one's going to help them get further in life, right? I want them to learn that stuff, right? Okay? I want them to grow up understanding you don't do these things, other people do these things. Right? The only reason you're doing it is because that's what you saw. I just showed you in 5 minutes why it doesn't make no sense that you do them. Right? Yes or yes? I just proved to you mathematically it's foolish. But you're doing it anyways because that's all you see. Right? So my kids ain't going to see that. They don't know. Not that they can or they're above it. They just don't know it. They don't know it. So that's what they're going to automatically think like. My time is best used here. I serve more people here than by doing the dishes. Doing the dishes, I serve myself. Maybe my immediate family members. Right? Having somebody else do the dishes, I serve them by giving them a job. And I serve the client I just saw, and the teammate I just trained, and this person and that person, because I have all this extra cash now, so maybe I have a nicer place or whatever, right? Okay, and there's a ripple effect. That's how our economy works, by the way, right? Okay, so what can you delegate? What can you delegate? And what's it going to cost you? So let's say it costs you $250 a month to delegate everything, and that bought you 12 hours a week. Right? If you put 48 hours into being in the right market, getting your skill set up, could you make $250 here to cover it? Sure. And then you're 48 hours better off. Whatever amount of time you had to spend to cover it, you're net that amount of time already. Boom. Done. Right? Weight of the world's off your shoulder. You're a nicer person. You're spending more time with your family, more time at home, more time right on your spiritual stuff. You're getting your health back in shape, and your business is growing. Win, 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 win. It's win across the board. I'm going to just keep those things to myself because I have a lack and limit mentality. I have a finite amount of money. I need to cut, crimp, save. Right? That mentality, you all, is a disease. It's a disease. Right? As wrong thinking. That is lose, 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 lose. You still don't have any time. You're still frustrated. You're not putting anything. You don't have any more money. Nobody else is getting helped. Right? Do you see that? Okay. So these are the two things that need to happen. This pretty much automatically happens. The urgent and important. Something that's got a deadline and it's got to get done. That kind of takes care of itself. This is where fortunes are made. Important but not urgent. This is where families are saved. Important and not urgent. Taking your spouse out on that date. Spending that individual time with your kids. Self-developing and becoming better at what you're doing. Making sure you're going to the gym on a regular basis. Right? Thinking about what you could be doing better and finding inefficiencies in your system. But that's what nobody does. Nobody has time for this. Because it's all being sucked up by this. Right? This everybody does and you got to do. This everybody does and you don't got to do. And this is the stuff nobody does because they're busy doing this. Okay? But if you're smart, you'll learn this crap real fast and you'll make sure that you got enough time from eliminating these two things that it goes there. Right? And eventually you won't have to do a whole lot of this either. Right? There are very few things that are urgent in my life anymore. Right? I'm not on other people's timetables. I don't have any deadlines for stuff other than things I put on myself, right? So I have even more time for this. Everybody make sense of that?
Yeah.
Okay, so work off a list and a schedule, both, right? Not just a schedule, because when you're looking at a schedule, all you're seeing is do, and you're not thinking. Make the lists so you think about what needs to be on the schedule and then work off the schedule, right? And what will happen is you'll be bored. You'll have 2-3 hours a day where you're like, what do I do now? I've already done all the urgent things. I've already done all the non-urgent things that were important. Heck, I even did some of this crap. I guess I better go read another book. I guess I better make a few more phone calls. Guess I better take my kid to the park. I don't know what else to do, right? That's a wonderful feeling when you have that, right? Okay. Better choices with time equal better outcomes in life. Sorry about all that stuff. Right? Better choices with time equal better outcomes in life. End of the story. You think about where your time's going, you get a plan, you get a schedule, you stick to it, and you will blow past people like they're standing still. You will. This is the difference between high achievers and everybody else. Right? High achievers figure this crap out and make it happen. Right? Everybody else just lets stuff happen to them. They're just, oh, here's an urgent thing, I better react to it. And they're always reacting to everything around them instead of happening to what's around them, right? And causing things to go. You can't always avoid it, but again, if you're always doing the most important things first, if you do get interrupted, at least the most important things are done versus not done, left alone, right? Everybody makes sense of that? All right, we'll open it up because that's the end of the presentation. We got 5 minutes left. For any questions on this, right? Any questions on what we talked about, on better managing time, okay, anything like that at all? And then if we don't have anything, because I've done such a phenomenal job teaching and covering all the bases, you can ask me anything else you'd like. Any questions on any of the material that we've covered tonight, how to implement it, what you need to be doing with it, anything like that? Going once.
Any time management apps that you suggest other than pen and paper?
I think apps take more time, and they're not as fluid. Like I have this app called Do, right? But honestly, it kind of pisses me off. Like I got 2 things on there that's telling me red do, right? But like I haven't looked at it in a couple of days, you know, so it's like totally irrelevant. And I got to go in there and put it in versus just writing out. Yeah. So a lot of times the digitization of things actually slows us down versus, you know, nobody's gonna send me a message on my piece of paper. They might on my phone while I'm looking at what I'm supposed to be doing. Oh, dang, right? Urgent, not important. Bing, talk to me now, right?
So you carry like a planner or schedule, like a book with you?
Yeah. So what I would do when I was doing this is I would have like a little clipboard, right? And I'd have that piece of paper on it and a pencil or pen. And I just make little changes to it as the day went on, right? And I did. What I would recommend you all do, you can go to pfsmedia.com and you can get something called the Think and Ink 90-Day Daily Planner. It was developed by a guy named Jimmy Meyer, who's a multi-million-dollar earner here, and it's really kind of unique to Primerica, right? So like it has some spaces for you to write your goals or your daily affirmations in the morning and in the night, and it's got kind of a little quadrant of like different things and a daily autopsy, where you could go back and autopsy your day at the end and say, hey, this is what I did good, I wasted time here, this is what I didn't, succeed on this appointment, here's why, right? And what I would do on that Sherman, right, is every day I would write down the contacts I got that day, right? So I would set my 3 to 5 appointments I set, write their names, and then the new contacts I got. I've got a block of these things on my bookshelf in my office, right, from like 2007 to about 2012, right, that 5 years where I was really working the business, right. Unfortunately, I don't have anything really more recently than that, but every once in a while I'd go back if I like needed somebody to call, right, I'm like down, right, people rescheduled for the night, I just go pull out, this is 3rd quarter 2009, and I would just look at the names. Oh man, I forgot about that guy. I was supposed to call him 2 years ago. Right, but I just give him a call. And I got so much business, so many recruits like that, people I've forgotten about. If you do what you should be doing with your time here, you will forget about more people than most of you will ever talk to. Seriously, right? But I have records of them, when I found them, how I found them. I can see if I ever set an appointment with them, and most of them I never call. But like probably as recently as 6 months ago, I pulled one of those books down. This, looking for a couple of new directs or whatever, and going through just looking at the names, seeing if anybody pops off the page at me. I have RVPs written in that book as prospects. Seriously. You look at it, it's like, that book made me $1 million. That one page made me $1 million. Page with John Cooper on it made me $1 million. Isn't that something? Right? One piece of paper worth $1 million.
When in the evening, like early evening, late in the evening, do you?
Okay, yeah, so again, when I was really building, I would do it right before I went to bed. Because if it was early in the evening, I should be out on appointments with people. Right? So I was coming in late, I'd watch my show or whatever with Jess. Okay, and then before I went to bed, I'd take 10 minutes, I'd just look at my day, scratch it out, think it through, right, see if there was anything, right? How many of you that I've ever trained said, hey, can you move this appointment this way or this way? Right, that's me going through and saying, I'm driving from this side of town to this side of town, let me just see if I can flip-flop it. If I can't, I'll deal with it, but I don't want to deal with it if I don't have to, right? And I try to move stuff to get it to fit. Good question. Other questions? Going once, going.
In the important but not urgent box, I don't know if you remember what you said, but you said something about this is where a blank is made. You know what?
Fortunes.
Fortunes.
Fortunes. Yep. Fortunes are made by doing things that are important, but nobody's forcing it on you. That's also called self-discipline, right? Doing the things you should be doing when you should be doing them, so you can get to do the things you want to do when you want to do them. Most of us do the things we want to do when we want to do them and wonder why we're broken, unhappy, and nobody likes us, right? Well, that's why. You did all the stuff you wanted to do right now, and you didn't remember to do the important things, and now you're a giant tool, Seriously, that's how you become a tool. Right? You do the things you want to do. You don't care about the things that are important to be doing, right? You're always having to be bowed out by everybody else. Can you loan me some money, dude? Right? Any other questions?
Yeah, how do you tie a bow tie?
Go to YouTube.
Try.
Pay someone to do it.
Exactly. Pay somebody to do it. John will charge you $10. He'll tie it up for you.
I'll get a 2-liter.
All right. Any other questions about anything? Going once? Going twice. All right. Listen, y'all. You cannot leave because there's an op night going on. So as soon as you hear that music, get on up and get on out of there. But discuss some of this with your friends. Ask questions. Do it as you may, but don't leave the room because you'll distract the people during the op night.
Thanks, Ian.
Are there physically available?
2-liter
No,
bottle.
you show up and your name is on the list, and somebody checks you.
Yeah.
And if you're not on the list, you'll be sent home.